Welcome back to my GH Fans channel. Now I'll be talking about the predictions and updates regarding Thursday's General Hospital episode. Let me start with Jocelyn, because I feel like her curiosity about Britt is not random at all. In my opinion, when a character like Jocelyn starts digging into someone's past, it usually means the story is preparing her to uncover something much bigger than she expects. But here's what really stands out to me. I could be wrong, but I don't think Jocelyn even realizes how dangerous this line of questioning is, especially given who she might be talking to. If it's Lulu, that opens one kind of door, more emotional, more reflective. But if it's Rocco, that's a completely different situation. And if by some twist she ends up talking to Nathan, that's where things become explosive. Because this is where the dramatic irony becomes almost unbearable. We, as viewers, can see the cracks. But Jocelyn, she's walking straight into a web without even knowing it exists. And that's what fascinates me the most. I think the writers are using Jocelyn as a kind of truth seeker, but also as someone who unintentionally triggers chaos. She doesn't know Nathan is fake. She doesn't know about Cassius. She doesn't know that the man she might trust could be sitting on layers of deception, and I feel like that ignorance is going to cost her emotionally, if not physically. Now shifting to this fake Nathan, this is where things get darker. I think stealing Marco's phone wasn't just a random act. In my opinion, that phone is the key to everything Sidwell is planning. And let's be honest, Sidwell doesn't strike me as someone who acts without purpose. I feel like he already knows the truth. Not just pieces of it. All of it. But what's more interesting is that he hasn't acted yet, and that tells me something very important. Revenge isn't his immediate goal. Control is. I think Sidwell is the kind of man who wants to orchestrate justice in a way that maximizes suffering. I could be wrong, but it feels like he's setting the stage for something much bigger than a simple confrontation. He wants timing. He wants leverage. He wants everyone exactly where he needs them before he strikes. And that makes him far more dangerous than someone acting out of rage. Now, let's talk about Dante, because I feel like he's standing right at the edge of a breakthrough. Dante noticing Nathan's unusual behavior? That's not small. In my opinion, Dante's instincts are rarely wrong. When he starts paying attention, things start unraveling. But here's the problem, and this is where I think the story gets really tense. Nathan, or Cassius, has leverage. Rocco. And that changes everything. I think Dante is heading toward a moral trap, because if he exposes Nathan, he risks exposing Rocco. And as a father, I feel like Dante is going to hesitate. That hesitation, that's exactly what someone like Nathan would exploit. I could be wrong, but I see a confrontation coming. And it's not going to be clean or heroic. It's going to be messy, emotional, and full of impossible choices. And those are the kinds of conflicts that actually teach something deeper about these characters. Because at the end of the day, what matters more, truth or protection? That's the question Dante is about to face. Now, shifting gears a bit to Jordan, this storyline hits differently for me. I think her struggle with her scars is more than just physical. In my opinion, it represents identity, confidence, control. When someone like Jordan, who has always carried strength so visibly, starts doubting her own appearance, it signals a deeper vulnerability. And I feel like the show is doing something important here. It's not just about beauty. It's about how trauma leaves marks that don't fade easily. Yes, she's considering temporary fixes, makeup, covering it up, but I think the real conflict is internal. Does she accept herself, or does she try to restore what was lost? And then comes the idea of plastic surgery. Now, this is where I have mixed feelings. I think it's realistic that someone would consider it, but I also feel like the story might be setting up a choice that reflects something bigger, healing versus hiding. I could be wrong, but I don't think this storyline is just about changing her face. It's about reclaiming control over her life. And then we get to the accident. Jordan, remembering details? That's huge. Because if traffic cameras captured anything, and especially if Brooklyn's car is involved, then we're looking at a chain reaction of consequences. I think the truth is slowly surfacing, piece by piece, and it's only a matter of time before someone can't hide anymore. Now, let's talk about Laura and Sidwell, because this situation feels like a ticking clock. I think Sidwell threatening Laura again confirms something I've been feeling for a while. He doesn't just want revenge. He wants obedience. In my opinion, blackmail is a tool of control, not justice. And Laura being forced into his plan, that's going to put her in an impossible position, because Laura is someone who values integrity, but now she's being pushed into compromise. And I feel like the real tension here is not whether she'll comply, but how far she's willing to go before she pushes back. Because eventually, she will. Now, a lighter but still intriguing note, Emma and Gio bringing in someone new. I think introducing a character like Michael James Scott, even as a performer or a guest role, adds a different kind of energy to the show. It creates space for something unexpected. Maybe it's just entertainment, or maybe like GH often does, it's a distraction before a major reveal. I could be wrong, but sometimes the brightest moments in this show come right before everything falls apart. Now, Isaiah, this one bothers me. I feel like guilt in GH is never random. When a character starts showing regret, it usually means there's truth behind the accusation. Curtis suspecting that Isaiah saw the accident and didn't help? That's serious. And I think if that turns out to be true, it changes everything about how we see Isaiah. Because that's not just a mistake, that's a choice. And in my opinion, GH always holds characters accountable for those kinds of choices eventually. The question is, why didn't he act? Fear? Self-preservation? Or something even more complicated? Now, Portia and Curtis, this is where emotions start overlapping. I think Portia sees an opportunity, Jordan is vulnerable, Curtis is emotionally torn, and in my opinion, Portia's trying to step back into something that never fully closed. But here's the thing, I don't think Curtis is that easily swayed. I feel like Curtis is someone who understands loyalty deeply. Even if things are complicated, I don't see him betraying Jordan, especially now. But that doesn't mean Portia won't try. And that tension, that emotional triangle, it's going to create subtle but powerful conflict. Now finally, Michael and Jacinda. This is where I get really speculative. I think something is off with Jacinda. I felt that for a while. And now, if Michael starts noticing inconsistencies, then we're heading toward a reveal. And here's my personal theory. I could be wrong. This is just my interpretation, but I can't shake the feeling that Jacinda might actually be Nell. Alive, altered, hidden. I know it sounds extreme. But GH has done this before. And the idea of facial reconstruction, it fits too perfectly into the themes we're already seeing with Jordan. Identity, transformation, secrets. If Jacinda is Nell, then everything changes. Michael isn't just being deceived, he's being targeted. And that's what makes this so compelling to me. Because at its core, this entire episode isn't just about events, it's about truth waiting to surface. Every storyline connects through secrecy. Jocelyn doesn't know who she's dealing with. Dante doesn't know how far to push. Jordan doesn't know how to heal. Lara doesn't know how to escape control. Michael doesn't know who he's trusting. And I think that's the real theme here. In my opinion, this episode is setting up a collision of truths, and when they finally come out, no one is going to walk away unchanged. I could be wrong, but that's how I see it.